So speaking of the NES Classic Edition, so let me before I'm gonna kind of switch these two around. So eBay has reported that on the console's launch day, which was a week ago, last Friday, November the 11th, they sold, just on eBay, they sold an NES Classic console every 18 seconds. And the average price was...
the average?
What was the average price that they sold for?
I don't know. I just remember the most expensive one.
Okay. Well, they sold for an average of $230, which, if you're doing math, is almost 4 times the amount. 4 times retail price.
Yeah.
And see, this is this whole situation is so messed up. I don't even know sometimes I don't even know where to begin, because there's just so much that went wrong with this launch. So it's a week later. It's still nearly impossible to get a hold of. I know 2 people, like out of like probably a pool of 5 people that all really wanted it, including me. 2 people haven't been able to get it. No one has been able to find controllers either. My source at GameStop told me that they got, they did have like 11 consoles, they got 2 extra controllers for the whole store.
Nintendo loves watching us suffer. Apparently.
Well, maybe this is because we're not buying the Wii U. They're like, well, you know what?
Okay,
give them something they want and then not give it to them. Wah!
So meanwhile in Malaysia.
Yeah. So let's start. Let's go ahead. Let's start there. So Malaysia.
They need to see this picture. Do you have that picture up there?
Oh, I do. There is a wall of NES Classic Editions there on the screen for your drooling pleasure. Okay? So apparently, they got more than 100 consoles at this one store in Malaysia. Over 100. Whereas Walmart got like 6, Target got 11, and GameStop got anywhere from 6 to 12.
Yeah, the GameStop near me only got like 9. Like they were supposed to be 12 or whatever, and we got there and it was like, oh, sorry guys, we only have 9, so you get one, you get one, you get one. And guess who was not one of the first 9 in line? This guy.
Yeah. And Toys R Us, same story. But they basically, this store in Malaysia, they had something like, they went to 70 and then 57 by the time of this article's writing, which was, I want to say 3 days ago. So apparently not many people in Malaysia have much of an interest in
but
classic NES. And
if only we could order them from Malaysia.
And to top it all off, someone on eBay, very very ambitious person, attempted to sell his NES Classic Edition for $88,888. And
that person, he's shooting for the stars, man.
And he required the buyer to pick it up. No shipping. So, okay, as frustrated as I am with these resellers, it's not it is their fault, because obviously, like, they had some kind of inside connection with some of these stores. Some stores didn't limit it to 1 per person. When you have a line outside your door, you should have limited it to 1 per person.
Some stores didn't.
Some stores didn't. How else are these people getting like half a dozen NES Classics on launch day?
And why are stores only getting like why are Walmart's only getting 6? Maybe some people got some.
I think Best Buy. I think I heard. I remember hearing. I can't verify this, but someone mentioned that Best Buy was not placing a limit. So basically, the first person who got to the door could buy all of them. And they had about 6 in their store. And then they just turn around, they, sell them for a few 100,000 a piece. So, but it's not completely their fault. the entity whose fault this is Nintendo's. Here's the problem. They announced this back in July. The internet about exploded when this news came out. And it wasn't just the internet. It wasn't just like 20 and 30 somethings and millennials and like all these people that were like, yeah, video games, play them. Not all those people wanted them. Like, I've spoken to people in their 40s and 50s who are trying to get one of these because they remember playing the NES, or as we just called it back then, the Nintendo. And then everything else after that became the Nintendo. I remember those days where it didn't matter if it was a Sega Genesis or a PlayStation,
Really?
Whatever. It was, you're playing the Nintendo again.
Me.
It of course bothered me, but that's just what
I didn't have to
people called it.
So you know.
So the this was not only tracking tremendously online. Then they chose for some reason to not give you the ability to pre-order it. Because if you took pre-orders, then you can gauge kind of what your demand is going to be and manufacture to the demand. Nintendo didn't do that. But they also apparently didn't pay attention to everyone going crazy about it and saying how much they were looking forward to it and wanting to buy their kid one and you name it. There are so many reasons for people to buy this console.
Yeah, so the thing is, like you said, there's well, basically what you said, like, so many people want it. There's such a huge market, like, for it beyond just the regular video gamers. Like myself, when new consoles come out, like just any old console, I don't usually pay attention to it. I just kind of look at it and I'm like, okay. Like, I don't buy, like, any consoles, actually. It's just not really it's not really my thing. Sometimes I'll play handheld stuff, but consoles I usually just look over. The one console that I hear about, that I get really excited about, I look at and I say, yes, that's something that I really want to have. The one console that all I ask for, the one console that I see and want, they only make like 6 of them in the whole world and I can't get it. That's slight exaggeration, but that's pretty annoying. I know I can probably wait it out and get it eventually, but it's just like so frustrating right now.
Yeah. So, and the other thing that happened to me this week that also further frustrated me. I spoke to someone about how I was trying to say like, oh, this is so messed up. I can't believe Nintendo. Da 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 da. There's just like the Amiibo and the Wii's and how the Wii. Like, I remember when I got my Wii, it was 2008. This was 2 years that it was out for, and I wanted it for Smash Brothers Brawl. And then it was still hard to find. Like, I think soon after it became more easy to find, but those first two years, the Wii was super, super popular. And then, we had the Amiibo craze, and I kind of feel like the Amiibo, I can understand that. It's a brand new thing. I mean, it was kind of like Skylanders, but I do think Nintendo vastly underestimated just how popular it was going to be.
So did I.
But
I don't really see the point in them.
But with this thing, like, okay, it's like the NES is basically, it's the system that saved the video game industry, one could argue, because back in the 80s, 1983, there was a crash in the video game market.
Yeah. And
Nintendo basically just brought it back with the system. So a lot of people had this system growing up. People still remember it.
And it was huge back then.
Yes, it was.
I saw a video of someone comparing the new one and the old one, and I didn't know that it was that big. Like, it's like that. It's like crazy.
Oh, yeah, the original NES.
Huge.
Yeah, it's the size of a normal console today.
Well,
almost.
Yeah,
almost.
It was bigger, actually, right? Because nowadays they're slimmer, but yeah, it was crazy.
But there's so many people that remember this. I mean, like my initial, very first game I ever played was Super Mario Brothers on a Nintendo Entertainment System that a friend of the family gave to us. So many people, like, this is the, like, I wouldn't even call it, like, some people call it the de facto retro system. It's the de facto video game system.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, for years, people called other systems the Nintendo. So the amount of recognition that this thing has worldwide is tremendous. How in the world this store in Malaysia got over 100 and they're not even selling? Like, Nintendo, did you even do your market research? Did you pay attention to how well this was tracking online? Did you not think to do pre-orders? There's so many things that you did wrong with this. And the thing is, Nintendo, they don't like YouTubers using their videos or using gameplay of their games in their videos, and their main reason is, we don't like people making money off of our intellectual property.
Apparently you don't like making money off of your stuff either.
Well, here's the deal. All of these resellers that are making bank off of your product, that's the exact that's, to me, well, number one, that's a lot worse. Because the thing with a YouTuber doing something like that, they are advertising your game. Yes, they are making money off of it, but they are basically getting advertisement and exposure for a game that you were not paying them for. They're getting ad revenue from it. And so you complain about that. You force YouTubers to get into this stupid contract that makes them give you like something like 40% of their revenue off of their videos. So you're taking money from them just because they're using your games, but you have no problems with these resellers. Like, you're enabling these resellers to make money off your system by doing literally nothing except going out and buying something and then selling it on eBay.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of that, actually.
Like, if you really have a problem with people making money off your stuff, you need to meet the demand that's there. And it's not like, these are not super complicated systems to make either. They could crank out as many of these as they wanted. But someone was making the argument. They said, well, this is actually like a really good business move on their part because it's driving up the demand, and when they do eventually get out enough, they'll continue to sell. It's like, well, if you had just paid enough attention, you would have realized the demand was already there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you don't need to create any more additional demand for this. You're just making people mad at this point. I read an article from someone on IGN. I can't think of who it was. It might have been like the editor-in-chief. But he basically said, I'm so disappointed in Nintendo. I wanted to share this with my 6-year-old daughter to have her play the games that her dad grew up doing and, very likely chose his career path around. But share that with his daughter. And now that he can't do that, he's basically saying, this has kind of jaded me to the point where I don't care about the Switch at this point. Because number one, same thing could happen to the Switch. Also, like, it's just basically taking people's memories and messing with them. Like, so many people were excited. Like, I definitely understand, like, people just getting upset at Nintendo. And if that was their plan to, like, basically be like, oh, we'll just tease a certain amount and make it like this super hot item for the holidays and just have people scramble. Like, that's not how you sell something. That's not, if you had done your research, you would have seen that the demand was there. You could have released millions of these into the wild and you would have recouped all your money.
And you wouldn't have gotten people making money off of them instead, like selling them for more.
Right. YouTube, not your problem at this point, okay? But in the meantime, Malaysia gets 100 that no one even wants.
I'm telling you, man, we need to go hit up Malaysia. And might be a little bit more expensive going that route, but